Namaste. Today is Shivaratri, where the day is dedicated to Shiva. And we offer a short sequence which you can do alone to honor this day. So in Manasa, we always start with what we call the first intention or first principle, which is termed Atha. So Sandhya begins the practice by going through the Atha principle. The Atha simply means being here in the now. So she is here right now trying to connect to the simple sensory experiences rising from the feet touching the mat, the hands touching the knees, the sit bones against the floor, trying to register the simple moment-to-moment experiences which are unfolding continuously. So totally trying to be with that. That is the Atha principle. And as we try to do this, to connect and abide in these simple experiences, we will recognize that we are not able to completely abide in it because there are a lot of other thought patterns working very strongly. So naturally we will move into the second principle of Manasa, which is called the Tanu Karana, which simply means a letting go intention. So even as you're trying to ground, you notice the unskillful thought patterns just playing along, and you're trying to connect to the exhalations as an instrument to let go. So she will be focusing on nice and long exhalations, and these exhalations elicit a parasympathetic nervous response. That is a relaxation response coming from your nervous system, so more conducive to a calmer, settled state of mind. And she does this for some time, and after which, once you're trying to connect to the moment, we have let go of the unskillful patterns, then we have the opportunity to really open our heart or our awareness to the present moment, to completely participate with it, to honor this moment with our full heart. So that we embody through what we call the knee, chest, chin breathing, and that is, she starts with a Namaste, and then inhaling, she opens up the heart, taking the head of the arm bones back, elbows back, broadening the mid-sternum. Exhaling, she will bring the hands back. And again, she will inhale, open. So the mid-sternum broadens, the top sternum lifts up, the first two ribs lift up. And exhaling, bring the hands back. So this you can do at any point of time. It really opens our mind and brings about some energy. And now put the hands down. And once we have done that, we have let go and we are really open to the moment. Then at Manasa we move to what we call the third principle, which is the sharing of the teachings, which is relevant to this point of time. And today the relevance is this day, Shivaratri, so the Shiva. So the concept is of Namah Shivaya. Nama basically means not mine. And Shiva for us is not a deity, but we connect to it in terms of the different functions which is happening in each one of us and the universe at large. So she's connecting to one of the first actions of Shiva, which is Srishti, which is creation, which is happening on a moment-to-moment basis in each one of us. So even as we are talking, millions of cells are renewing, are being formed, and that is the first principle of Shiva, first action of Shiva. And at the same time, millions of cells are perishing too. Molecules which used to be our body are ceasing to be. So that is called Samhara. And in the midst of both these renewing and perishing, we continue to exist. And that is the Sthiti principle. So she's trying to acknowledge all this happening in each moment. And then there is the Tirodhana, which is, even as we are looking at all this deeply, we find the absence of a self here. There is a whatever intelligence and energy is functioning in these ways, it is absent to our current awareness. So it is a bit concealed, and we recognize that aspect, Tirodhana. And then our practice is dedicated to Anugraha, which is, we are hoping that it will slowly reveal this presence of this great intelligence and energy which the body is. As our ignorance moves, that will get revealed. So that is Anugraha. And the practice is towards, yoga practice is towards this Anugraha. And once you go through these steps, then we go to the fourth principle of Manasa, which is embodying, which is an active practice. So let's slowly open eyes now. And to embody some. They first move to a position which is called the lunge position. So you can take this position, and if your knee hurts there, you can always put a blanket or something under that knee. So this front knee should not go too much in front of the heel to reduce the shear force of the knee. And you stay here and start to connect to the experience which is being formed at the front of the thigh and the hip flexor. And this Natarajasana is a back bend. So you have to really work on taking this first few ribs up, as well as the side ribs lifting up, the head of the arm bones going down strongly, and taking a few nice deep breaths, good deep breaths. And now we move to a bit more of a lengthening of the quadricep, or we can move to hamstring, because this posture requires a little bit of a forward length of the back of the thigh. So she's moving into this position. So you can stay here for a few breaths more. Now we're just showing you. You can just stay for a few breaths more. With nice breathing, connecting to the srishti. Whatever is being formed here is a hamstring sensation. And staying in the midst with awareness. Then she moves back into the same position, and we lengthen the quadricep more by bending that back leg. So that lengthens the quadricep more. Reaching back with the opposite hand, and then if it's comfortable, you reach back with the front hand also, and strongly push the foot back to further open the front chest, and take some nice deep breaths, because it's an important action for Natarajasana, as you will later see. And now slowly release. And then to work on both the hamstring as well as to work on that flexion, you will slowly come to a semi-standing position. And here you can very well use a block here, which will help in that forward bend. And staying here, you're catching hold of that foot and lifting. So this is actually moving towards an active pose here. So here it is a forward bend if you're looking at the other hip, or it's a back bend if you consider this hip, and this heart is still being open, and it's a balancing pose. And then you can release it, and you can take the hands to the hips, and you slowly come up to a standing position. And now we are moving to the active pose. So she's bending that right leg and catching hold of that foot, and she's slowly leaning a bit forward and pressing that foot backward. And at the same time, her abdomen moves a bit to the other side, and the left arm moves to the front. So this arm is showing that srishti principle, that creation principle. This pulling back is representing the samhara principle. And this leg where she's balancing, you're embodying the sthiti principle. And the practice is towards that revelation, to connect to what is doing the pose here, what principle. Now slowly release. Now we move to the the more open pose of Natarajasana. That's really the shoulder and the heart opener variation. So you use a strap initially, and you bend the leg, put the loop, catch inside of the loop from inside, and slowly you rotate the shoulder and come into this position. So this is the Natarajasana, and where we really open up the heart and take some nice deep breaths. And this knee might play out a bit, you get it a little bit in. And if you're comfortable, you can just walk with one hand a little bit back, then the other hand a bit back. So like that, but slowly, 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 slowly. It's not about walking back, it's just enjoying the process. And then you slowly release without just whiplashing it, just slowly release. And just for the demo, we will show the full pose. So again, this requires perhaps a few months of regular practice. You have to just reach like that, and then open, and then this left arm, you can either stretch forward and just lifting up, and you can really lift up and stay here. This is a full expression of the pose, Natarajasana. So slowly releasing, and you can practice this. The other side you can practice by yourself. And a happy Shivaratri to all of you. Let's all spend this day with even more awareness. Namaste. Thank you.